Hi, in this short presentation I'll be giving you a few tips to help you take better photos at Christmas. So let's get started. Flash is not my favourite light, as direct flash, where you aim the flash at the subject, produces hard shadows and a very unflattering light. However, there are occasions when the light is so low that you have no choice but to use flash. So here are a few tips. The small pop-up flash that's provided on many cameras is usually very weak and often has a range of just a couple of meters. If you do have to use the pop-up flash, only use it for individuals or very small group. A better flash solution is to use a separate flash unit with a swivel head. The swivel head lets you bounce the flashlight off a ceiling or a wall. This diffuses the light and gives a much more natural effect. Try to pick a white or neutral coloured surface to bounce the flash from. If you're planning to buy a flash, it's better to go for a dedicated flash if you can. A dedicated flash is one that can communicate with your camera to help make sure you get a good exposure. The flash doesn't have to be the same make as your camera, and there are many good flash units at excellent prices made by the likes of Nissin and Metz. One final point, if you buy a flash with a bounce facility, you may well find there's a small white card you can extend from the flash unit. You use this for bounce photography, as the card just puts a small highlight in your subject's eye. If your flash doesn't have a highlight card, you can make one very easily by taping a white business card to your flash shoe, as shown here. I always prefer to shoot indoors using available light, as it produces much more natural looking photos. The other benefit is the ability to take candid shots, as your guests won't even notice a photo has been taken. This is particularly important when photographing children and teenagers. The best type of lens for available light shooting is a 50mm or a 35mm fast fixed lens with an aperture of around f2.8 or lower. Put your camera into aperture priority mode, that's an A or AV depending on the make, and set the aperture to the lowest number. You should also set the ISO to auto. By doing this, the camera will look after the exposure for you by balancing the shutter speed with the ISO. When shooting with this setup, you should find that your shutter speed stays at about a 30th of a second or faster. Available light shooting lets you capture really nice shots of people enjoying themselves. To get the best from this style of photography, there are a few tricks you can use. Try to avoid bringing the camera to your eye by composing from the rear screen. This is particularly easy if you have an articulated screen. Also, find a spot with a good view and just sit there quietly whilst people get used to you being there. If you're photographing children, get down to their level by sitting on the floor or resting your camera on the floor. If you have a silent shooting mode on your camera, then use it. If your family is anything like ours, someone will get out the games at some point, and this is a great opportunity for candid photos. It's still better to use available light if you can, but you can get away with flash, as your subjects will be so absorbed in the game they won't take much notice of you. With group shots, often the hardest part is getting people together. I often find it's better to enlist the help from one of the family members. Space is also a problem with indoor shots, and one common solution I use is to sit the elderly members of the family on a sofa, with taller people standing behind and the kids sat on the floor in front. That gives a very nice compact composition. Once you've got your formal shot, try throwing them a handful of sweets and get ready to catch the action. If you have an interval time on your camera, try setting it to take 20 shots at 1 per second and tell your subjects to do something different. That will often get the extroverts doing crazy things, and you will get some great reactions from other people. As with the internal shots, it's often better to get one of the group to help organise people for the shot. If it's a sunny day, arrange the pose so that the sun is behind them but to one side. This produces lovely highlights on the hair and avoids people squinting. You may need to use some exposure compensation of about 1 stop to lighten the faces. Grey days are particularly good for group shots, as you'll have a very soft, diffused light. And avoid harsh, direct sunlight. It looks terrible. Once you've got your family group together, try taking a few different combinations, i.e. all children or all the grandparents, all males, all females, etc. And be ready for the unexpected. The best shots can occur when they're getting ready or breaking up from the pose. Try the shot every second I mentioned earlier, as that often produces good results. To capture the atmosphere of Christmas, you need to take lots of shots, and here are a few examples. You could take mum preparing the Christmas lunch in the kitchen, the dinner table before and after everyone's eaten, close-ups of crackers, individual decorations on the tree, etc. Dad snoring in the armchair after lunch. If you want to capture the Christmas lights outside, don't wait until it's dark. The best time is around sunset or dusk, as you will be able to capture both the lights and the house and the garden. Okay, to summarise then, if you're using a flash, try to use bounce flash if at all possible, as you will get much better results. For candid shots, you really need to shoot without flash and do available light shooting. A fast, fixed focal length lens with auto ISO is usually the best combination for indoor shots. When photographing groups, get help from one of the family members. Remember, take plenty of shots, especially during the setup and breakup of a formal shot. Get in close to photograph the decorations and keep your camera ready at all times to capture the unexpected. And finally, have a great Christmas and New Year, and don't forget to bring your photos along at the next meeting in January.